Welcome back, guys. Why am I talking to the microphone? Actually, leave this in, babe. Leave this in because this is all part of it.
Okay.
Welcome back to the Joseph Podcast. My name is TJ.
My name is Tamara.
And we are married. Brackets, happily. So today we are going to be talking about what we thought our lives would look like versus how our lives have actually turned out so far.
What an intro.
Yes. What an intro.
We're going in just like that?
We're going straight in.
Let's do it.
So, babe, I think I'm going to toss the questions your way.
Okay. Let's do it.
So that I can gauge her expectations versus the realities. And then I can slot it in because, as men know, if you talk too much, once the camera cuts, I won't say anymore.
So you want to use me as the yardstick for how deep you want to go?
You're the one that said stick. I didn't say stick.
Okay.
But yes. Okay. So what we thought our lives would look like. So let's start with, I don't know if I call them the cons, but let's just say, what are the biggest things that haven't gone to plan?
Oh my God, how much time do we have?
30 minutes. So.
Wow. The biggest things that haven't gone to plan. I think for me, I would say my educational journey. That's the biggest thing. I was actually talking about it this morning when we were having Bible study, and I was saying, someone asked a question about if I'd ever felt discouraged or if I ever doubted God. And I said, many times, but I would say in my educational journey is where I felt the most like what I wanted versus what I got. You know what you ordered versus what you got?
Yeah. My wife is a master at customizing the orders. So maybe that's God slapping you back in the face.
Seriously?
Customizing your order.
Yeah.
But that's a big one. Just for the record, it's not to say that my wife is literally challenged.
Okay, no,
the
let
IQ
me
is
actually,
on point. Network is good.
No, let me break it down. Network is good upstairs. Everything
is
is fine, but
Yeah.
let me break it down a little bit. So I moved to America for school in 2012. And since 2012 until now, I've had different moments where couldn't pay fees, moments where didn't do good in a lot of my classes, or my grades were up and down, or I was depressed, or many different things. And we can break it down as we're going, but all these different things have led me to the point where it's now 2025 and I'm still yet to receive my graduation certificate because all my classes are done.
Most of the I's are dotted, T's ticked.
Just had a lot of different breaks in between, which can be very discouraging on so many levels. And it's actually sipped into many different areas of my life. But we'll kind of get into it as we're going.
Because we've been on the finishing line for this.
Too long.
Yeah,
too long.
Yeah. So it's kind of that trying to cross over or waiting to cross over, and that last little bit being completely out of your hands.
Yeah. How about you?
How about me? Biggest things that didn't go to plan. I think it'd probably be easier to say what went to plan because it's a shorter list.
These I'm the one that's doing all this work. These you guys should please help me beg this man.
Anyway. I can't help it. But I actually saw a video that said, and it was talking about communication and public speaking. And it said, it's actually better to not say anything because the are to fill in the gap. Kind of like your voice is ready to speak, your mind is not ready to talk or to send a message. So let me try, if there's gaps, this is me trying to literally implement this. What are the biggest things that haven't gone to plan? So I just turned 36.
Babe.
No, I didn't. I just turned 37.
Second time.
I'm creeping into OAP mode. OAP is
on-air personality.
No, it's not.
What's OAP?
Old age pensioner.
Hey, you see why we're from two different countries.
Creeping into my golden years. I just turned 37.
Yes.
And the truth of the matter is I had a lot of expectations as to what life would look like by now. In fact, I had a lot of expectations of what life would look like by the time I turned 30. When I was in career mode, it was a stable job, working up the ladder. Career mode was not very long because I never really felt like that was what I was supposed to do. But I had a sense of, I need money and I don't know what it is I'm supposed to do. So let me at least do this for a while until that becomes clear. So graduated, moved to Dubai. It was tough, very, very tough to start. It's funny because I remember friends being like, man, dude, you're in Dubai, you know, you're killing it. But the reality was for the first at least year, I literally didn't have any money.
Wow.
Sometimes for the first year, yeah. My first couple of months, it was actually my mom that helped me to pay rent because, you know, graduates don't graduate with cash. They don't.
That's true.
And so my mom helped me pay rent. And I remember, I went out in May, came back to London or went back to London for graduation, moved back out. And I think it was August 30th, the last day of August, just literally being in the shower and shedding tears, just being like, man, I'm out of rent. I don't know what I'm going to do. Fortunately, I got 2 job offers literally the next day.
Were you praying? Were you crying? What were you doing?
I wasn't praying, if I'm going to be completely honest. I'm very kind of go get it, figure it out, you know. But I definitely got to the end of my rope or to the end of what I could do because I literally had no job. So I got these 2 offers and I was like, wow, from nothing to which one do I pick? And so the picking now became a case of almost like who's paying me the most because I need to make sure that I stack up.
Wow.
And me being me went the complete opposite route, and ended up going for the startup, which was great.
What do you mean? You had 2 options: a
So
startup.
one was business development in a pharmaceutical company, and one was a complete new startup. It was a company from India that had just opened an office in Dubai, and I think at the time the team was maybe about 12, and they were looking for salespeople. And the salary was peanuts, but I had a job. So I took it. And yeah, for the first year, you know, sales is tricky because even the baseline wasn't a lot. And there were some days where it was literally, okay, do I take the metro to my meeting and then walk back? Or do I walk there and take the metro back?
Under Dubai's heat.
And this is Dubai heat. We're talking 45 degrees Celsius, 110 degrees Fahrenheit.
That is wild.
Suited up, by the way, because, you know, you've got to obviously put your best foot forward.
Knocking on people's doors.
Knocking on doors of restaurants. So I'll tell you, the company's called Zomato. I mean, some people might know it. It's global now. They have offices all around the world. And we were basically compiling a list of all the restaurants in Dubai, and there were 5,000 restaurants in Dubai.
What?
Yes. And so we had drivers on bikes who would go and collect menus, and we would try and get them to sign up to advertise on the platform. And it was tough. Sales is the definition of rejection personified, in a sense that you're going to get more no's than yeses. Bad with the heat. So anyway, some days I'd walk up, literally have to chill for a second so that I could stop sweating and cool off and present myself and get the rejection and move on. And, you know, that's the thing about rejection. You have to dust it off and go to the next appointment, next meeting, fresh, you know, like the last person said yes, you know, and it takes a toll. But I had a job. And I'll never forget when I got my first promotion, coming off the metro. I actually cried. I called my mom, which was in itself, because that was my last bit of change on my metro card. But I called her, I was like, I got a promotion. Now that promotion wasn't anything grand, but hey, rock bottom, anything is a win. But going back to the question, I definitely thought things would look differently. I've set up or been part of multiple businesses. I have set up a trucking company that went underground very quickly. Part of an animation studio, still part of that. Real estate has always been my passion, and that's where I am. Still trying to build that. And sometimes there's nothing worse than seeing so much opportunity and just wishing that somebody would take a chance. Because oftentimes as entrepreneurs, you have the ideas, you don't have the money. I always joke with Tamara. I say, it's annoying sometimes when you see the people that have the money but don't have the ideas, and you see the people that have the ideas and don't have the money. There wouldn't be a need for solutions if the people that had money had ideas, or vice versa. I don't know.
Vice
But
versa.
yeah, so I thought I'd be more stable. I thought I'd be, on the up. I really wanted to own a home by now, be more stable. Even in terms of with us, we met, 2020? So for me, marriage looked like, okay, things have to stable out. I thought we would be way more stable. And it's not to say that things haven't, there haven't been positives, but oftentimes, the negative always overshadows the positives. And oftentimes it really does feel like, man, like when am I going to get a break?
The
I'm talking
negatives
about,
overshadow the positives in our
yes,
minds or in
yes,
reality.
both.
Oh,
I
okay.
would say it's easy to say in our minds alone, but that there's more good. And there
But it's
is.
both.
But we're humans and we oftentimes like to see the tangibles. We don't want to have to really think deep to figure out the positives, especially when the negatives flow so easily.
Right.
But such is life, I'd love to be like, oh yeah, the positives, character development, strength, tenacity,
Pruning.
pruning,
Fire.
but those things don't transfer to a good bank account. They don't transfer to home ownership. They don't transfer to your dream car. They don't transfer to those holidays. They don't transfer to that level of comfort. And it's funny because I remember this is years ago. I went to this. It was a prayer retreat actually, which ironically was probably one of the periods in my life where I wasn't really very close to God. I always like to say I'm a work in progress with God. I think it's a bit of a shield to offset some of my realities, but there is truth to it. But she said, I can't remember, I never forget the context, but I remember the word, don't let comfort kill you. And the reality is that comfort is the easiest place to die. You might not die literally, but comfort is where dreams don't manifest. Comfort is where ideas don't come alive. It's in discomfort that creativity is forced. It's in discomfort that ideas are created, solutions are explored or are birthed. And so, yeah, looking back, graduating feels like 5 years ago, but in actual sense, it's 14, 15 years ago.
Wow, baby, you're showing your age.
Give or take. I've got some white hairs on the back to back it up too.
6 strands.
6 and counting. And
Counting.
it's easy to be disappointed. It's easy to be down. It's natural. The hard part is picking yourself up. And it's a daily struggle. It's a daily struggle. I don't want this to sound like doom and gloom, but the question is what we hoped it looked like versus what it does. And life doesn't look like what I hoped it would look like. And yet somehow there's still a sense of it's going to look even better.
Absolutely.
I believe in, how many times do you think I've said so far?
I'm not sure. I'm not counting. We listen, we don't judge.
Okay. Well, I believe in the suddenly. And if I can be completely transparent, me saying I believe in the suddenly, and I think many people can relate. There are days where it's purely audio, it's purely words. And there are days where it's a feeling. And sometimes those feelings are because there's good news, and so you feel more. And those days, and other days are because you want to. Feeling, faith isn't a feeling, it's a choice. And choices are tricky. Choices are frustrating. Choices can breed disappointment. And yet you have to still choose. You still have to choose, keep choosing, keep choosing. But anyway, I don't want to get all deep in everything, but the reality is I'm not where I was, but I'm not where I'm going. And some days I'm okay with where I am, and other days I'm not. But I have to keep going. That's the thing. I'm too stubborn to quit. You remember the song "Too Legit to Quit"? It's probably
Too
before your
legit to
time.
quit?
We're both millennials, but there's a gap.
Before my time?
I think so. I think so. But anyway, let me not drift off. So
Millennial
yeah, so
husband with a Gen Z wife.
you're actually a millennial, but it's
But I'm
millennial
on
husband
like
with a
the
village wife. Anyway, so
I'm on the end of the
you're yeah,
the spectrum.
yes, you're a baby millennial.
I had a question.
Mm-hmm.
Where did the pressure come from in terms of the first thing you said was I'm 37 and life has not looked the way that I prayed that it would look, or the way that I wish that it looked, or the way that I hoped that it looked. But where did that pressure come from? Because usually the pressure is associated with women more so than men, especially when you think about life post 30, because you start hearing, well, you want to get married, you want to do all these different things, you want life to look a certain way, you should have been building your family at that point in time. But it's interesting to hear that I know there's a lot of pressure on men, but just in terms of age limit, where did that pressure come from?
I think there's different pressures for men and different pressures for women, and I think they all kind of correlate with certain age points or certain, So I would say at certain age
Brackets.
brackets, you kind of hope that this would have happened by now. And the reality is social media, the world, and even friends, and oftentimes not intentionally, will have you feeling like you haven't hit that point. Life will have you feeling like you haven't hit that point. Your own expectations, oftentimes guys are very hard on themselves. And you see other people seemingly having to put in less work to achieve far more. And it's very easy to attack social media and say, oh, it doesn't look like what it is and whatever. And that's true. But the reality is, it doesn't make it any less of a goal, of a want, of a need to have achieved certain things by certain points.
Of course.
Someone once said to me, "Oh, Colonel Sanders, KFC. He didn't discover KFC until he was 70." And the truth of the matter is, I don't want to be 70 when I'm discovering.
Yeah.
I get that the logic is everybody in their own time. But if we can be honest with ourselves, who wants to be 70?
Nobody.
Nobody wants
Not
to be
me,
70.
for sure.
We
Not
don't.
me.
We don't.
Not me. I don't want to wait that
Abraham
long.
and didn't, and Sarah didn't have Isaac
Until they were, yeah.
It shows the power of God. But even Abraham would not tell you that he wanted to wait that long.
That's
In fact,
true.
the fact that they went and had Ishmael showed that even right at the last minute, it was a clear sense. There was a clear sense of his impatience, and it's like,
Yes.
God, at this point, I've trusted you this long. I don't have much time. But what can you do?
That's the beauty of life.
I wouldn't call it beautiful. I'll just be honest. I wouldn't call it beautiful.
Okay, maybe not the beauty of life, but
I get
it's
what
the
you're
reality
saying.
of life.
It's the
We're
reality.
constantly in seasons of waiting for one thing or the other.
Yeah.
And hoping that things look the way that we want them to look versus how things actually go. There's a constant feeling in our minds like, if I write something down as a plan, I want it to go exactly
A, B, and C.
how
Yep.
I've written it down.
100%.
A, B, C, just like that. But that's not the reality of life. That's not how it works.
So how do you grapple with theory versus reality? It's funny, I studied politics and international relations. One of my modules was theories of international relations. And it was really about grappling with the theories versus the realities. And to an extent, I just believe that life is really a bit of both, because the theories are what give you that's where you write your visions, and your realities is where your visions are tested. And it's not to say that everything will come to pass, and it's not to say that everything will fall apart. But I just believe that there needs to be an intentionality of not giving up. Life is choices. Not giving up doesn't mean trying to do it all by yourself, but not giving up just means, okay, God, I trust you. And it's ironic because a moment of transparency on this very day, the last thing I feel is trust. The last thing I feel is hopeful. But you have to keep going. You just have to keep going. You don't have a choice. There's a saying that goes, you win or you learn. You only quit when you give up. And I don't like that saying. I'm just being honest. I don't like it. Because I do want to quit sometimes. I do want to just pause. I do want to be comfortable. I do want to, sometimes your dreams can seem so far away that you're like, you know what? I'm okay being okay. Right now, being okay is better than being expectant and living with nothing. I just want to be okay. I don't want a house. Let me rent a nice apartment.
Yeah.
Okay, I want my Range Rover. I'll take a Camry. You know what I mean? It's okay, but we're not wired like that, because I don't want to call it mediocrity, because it's not, but
There's more.
There's more.
There's more.
There's more.
I think the bridge between theory and realities, and just to piggy off of what you were saying, for me is contentment.
Oh boy, I hate that word. I hate it. Hate that word till today.
You know why? And I know why you hate that word, and you can tell us. But I was thinking about it this morning. There's so many things that I'm trusting God for. There's so many things that I want to happen. There's so many things that I'm in faith for. But at the end of the day, I actually feel quite content with where God has me. And I was thinking, wow, did I feel the same way when I was single? Did I feel the same way when I was in Nigeria? Did I feel the same way? I was just kind of, in my mind, just back testing. That's a trading word, by the way. I don't know why that came to mind.
Right.
But in my mind, I was just going back in time to say, in this period of my life, did I feel contentment? In this other period, did I? And I actually did. I actually feel like I did. Or at least I feel like, looking back, because hindsight, but I feel looking back that I did in every season, because I also find that I get frustrated with myself when I'm constantly looking for the next thing to happen. It's like, okay, but the now though, the future is coming and all these things are going to happen, but how about the now?
That's one thing you're much better than me at. My wife is very good at living in the moment. And honestly, sometimes it frustrates me because I'm like,
This man.
react, say something, show frustration, show
It's gonna be okay.
rent is due today. Babe, I'm hungry. I'm not gonna have anywhere to eat if we don't pay the rent. Whereas I'm very much, I think ahead. I think ahead in the larger picture. I think ahead in the day to day. So even I don't know if you've seen those memes where the husband and wife is walking through the airport and the guy's like, okay, exit there, this and that. Okay, this is the plan. And the wife's just there like, making my way down. That's my wife.
Big picture, small picture.
Big picture, small picture. And hey, that's the balance that's required. Why do I hate contentment? I hate contentment because I had a very negative relationship with that word. My mom used to always say it to us, and she always used to say it to us, especially when you wanted something. Be content, be content. So I always used to feel like it meant don't want. So rewiring of the understanding of what it means, and I've learned it from my wife. It's be in the moment, be okay. You don't have it, you want it, you can't get it, but it's okay. It's okay.
I don't know if I can't take credit for coming into this reality, but I think that my journey so far has taught me to be content with where God has me, regardless of what it looks like.
Right.
I don't know if it would have been the same way if things went my way. I don't know if I would have I don't know if my response to situations would still be, I'm content with where God has me. But just with my journey and with how my life has turned out, I just find that.
It's interesting you say that as well, because for me, things definitely wouldn't have been the same. Because I think it's no coincidence, and I think we have touched on why we called it the Joseph Podcast. But if I had gotten all the things that I wanted, I'm really honest with myself. I think there's a part of me that even if I didn't say anything vocally, would have carried a chip on my shoulder.
Like,
Would have
I
felt
did
like,
this.
yeah, because I think a lot of the time, a lot of my drive was driven around, I'll show you. I'll show you. I didn't want it for you, but I'm going to be okay. You know what I mean?
Right.
I remember many times feeling like there was a clear message from God, like these things. I hope the mic is not picking up my stomach rumbling, but
Okay. It's all part of it. Okay.
it's all part of
Joseph
it.
had
Yeah,
moments in the
he had
dungeon
moments. Yep,
where
yep. It would have
his
been very quiet.
tummy was rumbling, I'm sure.
Probably had bad breath. Yeah, I could have
You could have.
definitely, if a lot of things didn't happen, I definitely could have had a chip on my shoulder. And I think that I've definitely had to be humbled. It's easy for me to paint and be like, my arrogance wouldn't have been like their arrogance. My arrogance would have been like, I got it,
Why is
but
he
I'm
doing-
helping you and I'm helping you and I'm helping you. You know what I mean? So it's like a Robin Hood arrogance. You know what I mean? Like I take, I give, I'm good. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I'm okay. But that's, no matter how much I lie to myself, that's not the right heart posture. You know, I just remember God saying to me many times, and I won't say it. I'm torn between whether I should say it, but my life is supposed to be lived out like the Joseph story, which is very painful. Because sometimes, I really, anyway, it's very painful. But yeah.
Well, it's been 13 years. He was in the, how long was he there for? 13 years, right?
Yeah, please
Breakthrough
Google it.
is
Rectify.
coming.
Hopefully,
Breakthrough is
hopefully.
here.
Hopefully, if you see your boy at the
Year
lounge,
13.
sipping some Fanta and some food and stuff,
Breakthrough
I
is
promise to be
here.
humble. I promise to say hi. If I don't say hi, I probably haven't seen you, but please say hi. Okay, next one. Surprises, good and bad. I guess we kind of,
We've kind of touched on it.
Yeah.
We've had surprises. I didn't know I was going to be married before 30.
I didn't know I was going to be married, period.
Yeah.
That's
I didn't
a story for
know.
another day.
Yeah, I didn't know that I was going to be married in the time. I felt like, well, let me not say before 30. It's not necessarily before 30. I just didn't know I was going to be married in the midst of something else not going well in my life. You know what I'm saying? I felt like,
That
well,
had
you
to
go
be
to school,
rectified, and then
you rectify this, and then you get
Right.
married, and then you have kids, and then you continue. But I didn't, the concept of still going through, I think it was, I don't know who said this, but a few years ago, I heard someone say, everything in your life cannot be going down at the same time.
Yep.
It can't. There's definitely something that you can find or something in your life that's happening that you can look to and say, okay, this thing is happening and it's happening well, or this thing is going well, even though these other areas are not working. So it was just one of those things where it didn't necessarily cross my mind.
And it's interesting because we say life is all about balance.
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is, when things are good, there'll still be things that aren't going so great, but the
Yeah.
good will outweigh the bad. And when things are bad, there'll still be things that are going good, but it will just feel like the bad is outweighing the good. And I saw this video, Tom Hanks, one of my favorite actors, and he was at a round table. I think Michael B. Jordan was there, Adam Sandler was there, Jamie Foxx was there. I'm trying to remember the other people. But anyway, he was like, you think things are going well in life right now? Good. This too shall pass.
Oh my gosh.
You think things are terrible? You feel
Yeah.
like you can't get a break?
Good.
Good. This too shall pass. And that's life. Life is a set of choices, a list of points at which you make decisions, and those decisions often affect the next point in life. And it doesn't negate grace. It doesn't negate God and God's will for your life happening. But the truth of the matter is, there's a reason why the Israelites took 40 years as opposed to, 2 weeks or something? It will happen, but your choices determine your outcomes. And even in those choices, you will get it wrong, but hence you win or you learn. When you get it wrong, hopefully you learn. When you get it right, fantastic. And so it does sound a bit gloomy that this too shall pass, but even the Bible, it talks of 7 years of fat and 7 years of lean, right? So it's going great. This will pass.
Did you say 2 weeks?
No.
The Israelite journey.
How long is it supposed to be? It was 40 years, but how long was it supposed to be?
40 days.
40 days. There you
Yeah.
go.
I thought you said 2 weeks.
My maths is
I wanted
mad.
to say, babe.
I'm doing wife maths right now, babe. Anyway.
It's different.
It's different.
It's different.
This too shall pass. And it's not as doomy and gloomy as it sounds. In fact, if anything, I would say if it's good and you know this will come to pass, there are things you can do to offset or absorb the impact of when things get tough. And that might be financially, that might be career-wise, whatever it is.
Do things
But
forward.
do things forward. But I go back to the statement, don't let comfort kill you. Because if you're always comfortable, something's wrong. It will pass, good and bad.
Guys, I don't know why TJ's voice is very low. I'm just hoping that it's not just my voice that's on this.
It will pass, good and bad.
It will pass. I want to learn to start talking like that. Low, like just low, like not so.
Oh, you mean not shouting and yelling all the time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just talking normally. We have 10 minutes to go,
10
sir.
minutes. I think we can do it in 5.
Ooh, for some reason, I'm the one that's talking more about marriage, but it's, it's just how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the other surprise for me was trying to put it together in words.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, guys. English is not my wife's first language.
No, I guess I didn't know that I was going to enjoy being married so much. I tell you all the time, I love you. I say it all the time, and I stress.
This is why I wanted her to speak first, because if not, I would have come in with, marriage is hard.
Yeah.
Marriage is really hard.
But marriage is work, yes. But I didn't know that I was going to enjoy it this much because I didn't have the examples that, people typically have, or the different pictures and things like that. I didn't have that. And I really wasn't sure where we were going. I wasn't sure where we were going. I just,
we're still going.
you know what I'm saying? Like, maybe not a surprise, just a testimony. You know me, always looking at things from the...
Yeah, definitely the optimist. I'm more of the realist. But it's interesting you say that too, because I definitely had more examples of good relationships and good marriages. Not to say that every relationship around me was great, but I think I definitely had more of that. And yet, my life didn't reflect that in any way, shape, or form. The only saving grace I had was people who didn't give up on me. And in a sense, me knowing that this is not it. Whereas with you, like you said, whilst you didn't have a traditional sense of what a good marriage would look like, God kept you. Somehow kept you. There were key people. Sometimes God keeping you is literally preventing you from falling over the edge.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessarily keeping you comfortable. That's definitely not keeping you comfortable. But it's just keeping your feet wet enough, protecting you just enough.
It's interesting you say that because I remember a few months ago we went to get some stuff from Suya on the Spot. And
Great example.
Right time, right place, right time. We went to get some stuff from Suya on the Spot, and I think 2 gentlemen were standing in the corner. And I don't remember what the conversation was about, but I had said something like, maybe I want to get something for my husband or something. And the guy said to me, since you stepped in here, you said my husband like 5 times. I hope, I think I told you when I came out, but he was basically just saying that people don't really talk about how their marriages or how much they're enjoying their marriages, if at all. And he was just saying to me that he really appreciated the fact that I said that. And he hopes that, my husband's taking care of me because he can tell that, I'm just here like my husband. And I think it's interesting because obviously I gather women to pray for our husbands every week, and
The Father's bride.
And yeah, sometimes I just feel like marriage gets a bad name. It's not really marriage. It's just people. It's just us.
Here's what I was going to say. If I had spoken before she did, marriage is hard. It is very hard. And I think for all transparency, it was very tough in the beginning. It was very, very, very tough. And
I think
I think you'll hear a lot of people say the same thing. And we had people around us. And
was
I remember we would talk to them individually and collectively, and sometimes they'd laugh and sometimes they'd worry, but there was a clear sense of they weren't surprised. And so to get to that place, I believe, is just a testament of the consistency. And here's the thing about consistency, guys. Consistency isn't always consistent. It's it's the law of averages. I know it sounds confusing, right? Consistency isn't always consistent. It's not. I'm sorry, it's not.
Yeah.
Consistency is not giving up. Because there'll be some days where you pause.
Of course.
There'll be some days where you should and you didn't.
Of course.
So consistently going to the gym 5 days a week might look like 3 days this week and 4 days next week, but you didn't stop going. So you're more likely to keep going.
Because you didn't stop.
Yeah, it's like, remember, every time we decide to start going back to the gym, the first days are the hardest.
Yes.
But that's the time when you need to be the most consistent.
That back to the gym pain, that's a different conversation for another day.
Mm-hmm.
But the real answer to that question about surprises is the fact that we came out of that storm and this is now a new season or a new phase of our marriage, and it just looks so much better as we're going.
But the growth is clear.
Yeah,
The
not without
intentionality is clear.
challenges.
Surprises for me, I'm still standing somehow. It sounds dramatic.
What did you say last episode? Who's dramatic?
Me,
Okay.
you, us. I'm still
I love
standing. So long as I'm here, I'm gonna keep going. Because that's all I know to do. I don't say it to brush my shoulder or whatever, but I can hear my stomach. I really hope it's not coming through.
Don't worry, you're fine.
But I just keep going. If anyone ever saw the film Finding Nemo, where
saw
Dory
it.
was saying, just keep swimming, just keep swimming, just keep swimming, swimming, swimming.
Hey.
I think that's what I would say. Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. It doesn't look like what you hoped, but it's not yet what it will be.
'Cause
Be
the best
okay
is yet
where
to
you
come.
are, and anticipate and be expectant. And I think that's as much to me. Sometimes it requires a reset, but that's as much to me as to anybody else. Just keep swimming. If you can't swim, float. If you can't float,
That's Bible. If you can't swim,
sometimes you'll have to hold your breath.
float.
Keep your head above water, but just keep swimming. And on that note,
Peace and love. Thank you guys for
that was
joining
so
us.
Cliche, babe.
Oh,
Deuces.
peace.
I like deuces.
Okay.
We're just being mad
Do you want
corny
to
right now.
tell them
Tell
who
them what?
sponsored the video?
Oh yes, video, the podcast, everything. A shout out to the Blank Canvas Space
Yes.
in Houston, Texas. It is my big brother. I call him Egbon.
Yes.
He's doing big things here. The Blank Canvas Space. Check him out on Instagram. Link will be in the description below. That's it.
Let us know in the comment section what you want us to talk about.
Yeah, I think that would be
Yeah. Let us know what you want us
Please.
to chat about. It would be good to hear your questions and just kind of respond to the things that
and
you
give
guys.
some direction because I'm running out of ideas. So, but yeah,
Are you-
no,
are you-
no, I'm not running out of ideas. Sorry, that wasn't for the, for I was gonna say for the gram.
Oh. Thank you
Just-
guys for watching.
Thank you, and just keep swimming.
Keep swimming. We'll see you next time.
Next time. Yep.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.